All right. It looked like everything went up and I'm ready to go. So I got a lot to talk about tonight, but I want to give a few people a chance to jump in here. I do have to bring my chat window up front here, though. There we go. All right. And just so you know, in the bottom of the screen, I'm on Rumble too, by the way. I'm streaming live on Rumble and on YouTube. Both in the description has a link that if you want to join me in the studio to talk about anything one-to-one, you can do that. Just copy and paste that link. Got a lot to talk about tonight, and most of it I've saved up in my X on my timeline in X. So um, some of it's just some basic info, and other stuff is probably I'm going to end up in a rant. I spent probably half the day today trying to explain to people about this whole deal with Qatar, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Just waiting for people to pop in here. But I got quite a bit. Got quite a bit, and I was going to take and transition this live stream over into the protest stuff for tonight, but I don't know. If it gets really crazy, especially in Portland, I probably will come on, but as of right now, I probably won't. But I'm thinking tomorrow maybe, because I've been hearing some rumors that things are going to get really, really crazy tomorrow. We'll see what happens. So, all right. Um, I'm going to go ahead and just start jumping into some things here. I don't see anybody out there yet. Let me just switch over to my other screen. Let's see. Dun, dun. All right, I think I'm just going to close. Well, I can leave that open. All right. Okay. Now, I keep losing my chat screen, so I might have to do a screen resize here, I think, just so I can make it fit. No. Why is it being like that? Okay, I guess that'll work. All right, let's go to my screen share. I think I'm going to hit the right one right away. All right, so we're going to just start from down here a little bit. I might have to go back and forth on a few things because I don't have everything all in straight order. But some of the, like Brian Cates posted something today. Um, I got to pop over onto that screen so I can make it bigger. All right. So he says, in case you're just now starting to realize what the U.S. Congress's actual job was for the past 100 years, as trillions of dollars was looted from our country, and we had a literal shadow government, much of it foreign-based, running Washington, D.C., with a defined America Last agenda. Okay, so you guys can actually, I'm not going to read all of these, but I'm just going to point out a few things here. So when we talk about this, um, last week when President Trump and Hegseth met with the generals at Quantico, one of the things that came out just before they went there um, had to do with um, kind of talking about us now actually going back to our sovereignty, back to our republic, and we didn't have those overlords over the top of us anymore. So we are now like back to being a sovereign country. Um, it was done quietly. The stuff was put out. There are a lot of, me not as much, but a few other people that are actually putting the information out there. If you haven't checked them out yet, whether you like him or not, Derek Johnson, Rattletrap 1776, he's got it all laid out about what exactly is going on in the United States today. So we are currently in what is called a partial continuity of government, which means that we're also under martial law. So the Insurrection Act, I believe back in April 1st, April Fool's Day, is the day that the Insurrection Act was actually instituted. Now, for those of you saying, but it was never, didn't they have to go to Congress? Doesn't he have to do this? He doesn't have to notify anybody. But if you were paying attention, there were times where he talked about the Insurrection Act, okay, and about the things that are going on. So he doesn't have to actually come right out and say, yeah, the Insurrection Act is in effect. He doesn't have to do that, okay? So for those people that are out there doing all of the protesting and the riots and burning flags and burning buildings, they're going to find out the hard way. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about, the acronym FAFO. So that's what's going to happen. So get it. This whole post that Brian Cates put up is pretty good. I mean, it covers a lot of stuff. I might as well just go ahead and read through it. And then he's talking about a literal replacement migration got underway under Obama, and it continued on through when Biden was in. Okay, so they're saying that Obama deported more people than anybody else. He did, but if you look at the people that were deported, they weren't Muslim, and for sure they weren't Muslim, and very few of them were Latin Americans that came here. Okay, when Kamala and Biden were in, about 90% of them were Latin American, and because of trying to bump up the voter rolls for certain states, and then there were also quite a few ISIS/Al Qaeda that came through, and as all of you that watch me and have watched us in the past when we had the whole group together know, we talked about places like Dearborn, Michigan, Houston, Texas, Austin, Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth, places in there's other larger cities in California, New York City, where we're just totally infiltrated heavily with Middle Eastern people, and especially Minneapolis, St. Paul with the Somalis. Now, while it's on my mind, I want to talk about Ilhan Omar real quick. I've got the stuff on my timeline. If you want to come at my profile on X and go through it, you can scroll down. You'll find it because I did save some stuff and I did comment back on it. But Ilhan Omar, not only, as we all know, did she marry her brother to get her brother to be able to come here, but what nobody knew up until recently is that Ilhan Omar's father was a colonel in the military in Somalia, and he was in charge of a genocide that took place when two large cities in Somalia. They had and when that government got deposed, they were coming after him, and he took his family and fled. So Ilhan Omar, when they were trying to get her in the States, they lied about her age, saying that she was a year older than what she actually was, so that when she could apply for citizenship, she would automatically fall under the clause of being under her parents at that time. Or not saying that she was a year older, that she was born a year later than what she was. So that would have made her a year younger In reality, when she got here, she was 19, so she would have had to file for citizenship on her own, and it wouldn't have fallen underneath her parents or parent. So that was so when she talks about her being an American citizen, she's not. They found out that they said that she was born a year later than she was, so that she would be a year younger and fall under her parents. But in reality, she's not. So look for Ilhan Omar to be deported at some point in time in the maybe hopefully near future. So let's go back here to back to our replacement migration stuff here that we're talking about on the screen. Okay, so there's just now people are awakening to the fact that our Congress, just looking out for us, is pretending to be surprised by the fact that plenty of local economies in this country are now almost completely dependent on cheap foreign illegal labor. So that's part of it. Um, so if you look at Minneapolis, St. Paul, I haven't been in the city too much, but I have friends that have been up to the mall. That's pretty much the whole population that works in the stores in the mall. But I can tell you that at the Minneapolis, St. Paul, at the international airport there, almost every kiosk at the airport is either run by, mostly, I would say about 98% of them are Somalis. And then the other couple of percent of the people that are upfront servers or whatever, that are working there are of Muslim descent. Okay, so they're all still one and the same, but Somalis and then more of the Middle Eastern. And I'm not trying to be racist or anything, I'm just stating facts. And then we look at Dearborn, Michigan, where about 98% of the population of Dearborn, Michigan are Muslims, and the people in Dearborn are complaining that 5 times during the day, the loudspeakers are going off starting at like 5 o'clock in the morning for their call to prayer. And they've had to put up with this ever since the influx came in. I think the problem with Dearborn is that when the people were coming in and things were getting bad, there was some crime. Um, a lot of people decided, hey, you know what? I'm getting out of here because it's going to get worse. And they left. So they just basically let more homes open up for more of these people to come in and take over. And now the whole city board, law enforcement, all of them are all run by Muslims, and they're also trying to institute Sharia law there. I don't think they're going to be able to, because our Supreme Court's going to tell them, hey, that's not conducive with our Constitution. You can't do it. So, but I have a feeling that a lot of these people are going to end up leaving anyway and going back to their own country after things settle down where they came from. Who knows? But I know with Somalia, they don't want Ilhan Omar back. All right, so we're going to talk about the war on drugs in Venezuela as well. So we know that to date, there have been 3 boats that have been blown up that were carrying drugs. I think there is a total of 13 or 17 people that were combined out of all the boats that were killed, but they were trying to haul drugs down and get them into, probably through Florida. Um, so what's going on is we're stopping that. We're going to see if it is going to keep going by land, if it's going to start going again by land, or if they're going to still continue to do it by boat. So in the past, when they talked about the war on drugs, we always knew it was fake because nothing ever happened. The war on drugs was always right here in the United States. We didn't do like President Trump is doing, is nip it in the bud before it even got to our border. So I think also what's going on with Venezuela, we know that Maduro, he's corrupt, and he's also in on the whole drug cartel stuff. So rumor has it, I can't say for sure, but I heard through the grapevine that we actually have some operators on the ground that are trying to basically get Maduro, snatch him, and take him out of the country so he can come here and face military tribunal, and because that's what it's going to be. because we're under military law right now in the United States. Most people don't know that, where it's a martial law. So that will pave the way for the woman that just won the Nobel Peace Prize to come in and be president. All right. So as we all know, Congress is, well, they went out, they went out, and now the Democrats are coming back saying, hey, okay, we want to work now. But now the Republicans are saying, well, you had your chance. We're not going to sit down and talk with you about this. We're gonna leave everything closed because you guys didn't want to work with us in the first place. So I think what's going on now is Trump and I'm trying to remember his name, but they're cleaning house right now. So they're cleaning out all the crap that and the people that do nothing that are getting paid federal salaries. So so the other thing is we talk about our representatives from our state, our congressmen and our senators that go to D.C. to work on bills and laws and other things, for their constituents. I'll just say for the people that they represent. Um, they're supposed to go down there and they're supposed to work for us. Okay. Well, what they've been doing is they've been going down there enriching their own lives and filling their own pockets with money from a number of different things. Lobbyists, a lot of them are getting insider information for insider trading on the stock market. They're how can you go in there as a brand new congresswoman or congressman and have a salary of like 124,000 a year, but then after, say, 8 years in office, you're worth millions of dollars, and it's not because they're doing the right things to invest their money. It's because they're getting paid off to do things for what I call the military industrial. Um, basically any of these companies that work for military, building weapons, trying to keep the war machine going. Okay, so that's what they're doing. All right. So anyway, and then there was a thing here with Rand Paul. I think Rand Paul needs to go away too. He's a rhino. Um, all right. So let me come back here. Go to my next one. All right. So now we'll talk about what Duke Hugh was talking about. Doc Holliday. I think it's just Doc. Um, he had made mention earlier of like the fifth column, and there was I've got a video here. I'm not going to play the video, but there's a video here that they were talking about the fifth column, and the fifth column is the basically the quiet government, the people in the background, or you could even say the SCS people. They're not elected for positions, but they're the ones that make all the decisions on how our government's going to be run. And in this case right here, it's been this. Okay, you can see where I'm highlighting, and I'm going to be very careful, guys, with my stream tonight because I don't want it to get shut down for stupid stuff. Um, YouTube deleted one of my videos from a couple of days ago because I did some Bible quotes. They said that it was hate speech, so I'm going to be careful. So we have these people in the background that are running our government, and that, in my opinion, is what Benji's been doing since the early 90s. Okay, people in chat that are watching right now that are the same thing. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not against Israel, the people. Okay, what I am against is that what I don't agree with is their government and the way that they run their military. Okay, the people, the civilians of Israel, I back 100%. Okay, but I won't back the government. Now, I also have other beliefs as far as the state of Israel is concerned, but those were in a previous video, and I got taken down because I said that on the air. Okay, so I don't do a whole lot of Q stuff anymore, but every once in a while I will go back to, like, okay, so certain things match up with this, and this is what we're looking at. So, but my point is we're talking about the fifth column. The fifth column, basically what that is a hidden element within our government that actually calls the shots and tells our Congress and our Senate how they should be running the country. Okay, a lot of people think that this fifth column was also trying to tell Trump how to be president, but if you paid attention and you on what's going on, it looks like in the Israelis, um, the Israel Gaza stuff, and then I'm going to be done with this because it's a very touchy-feely thing. Certain people get triggered very easily when it comes to this. But what I will say, hold on here, I'm looking at chat. But what I will say here is, I want to try to get my train of thought right and say the right words, because, like I said, I want to be very careful. And I'm not feeling really good, so my mind's not working at 100%. I think I'm at like 85, maybe 90. But the before all this happened, and the weeks prior, we saw all these protests and riots on the the pro-Palestinian stuff that was going on. Okay, and then all of a sudden, President Trump gets it done, but now you don't see people here in the United States that were out there protesting. You don't see them out dancing in the street and happy that we now have a peace deal. Okay, so the most of those people didn't even know what they were out there protesting about to begin with. Those that did know what they were out there protesting about were secretly sitting back in their bedroom at home when everything was over, praying that the peace deal didn't go through, because they make their money off of that, and the whole war that was going on over there, people were making money. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going. We know that Hamas was funded by Israel and by Qatar. But Qatar asked Israel, "Do you mind if we fund them?" And Israel said, "Oh no, go ahead. We gave them money too." Okay, so there's a lot of effery going on there. Okay, all right. Now moving on, I want to talk about, and this here is very near and dear to my heart. It has to do with Ukraine and Russia. Okay, number one, I think Russia is actually an ally of the United States. Okay, and there's a lot of reasons that I think why, which I'm not going to really go into too much. But if you want to start kind of doing some research coming from Helsinki, Finland, with the soccer ball, that pretty much said it with me. And what actually nailed it in as 100% sure was when Trump and Putin met in Alaska. So I think what's happening right now, it's not just that Trump is setting up Zelensky to be a whiny little bitch, you know, crying for money all the time. So Zelensky is just a puppet, and he's an easy puppet to control because he needs his coke. So they can make him do what he wants. And when I say they, I'm talking about the EU, and I'm talking about certain NATO countries. So they're running the show as far as Ukraine is going. And Zelensky's doing it so he can get his stuff, and he gets all that money so his wife can go do $100,000 shopping sprees in Paris, France, and he can go buy 2 yachts. Okay, so he had gotten like $150 $1 million, and 75 million of it never even made it to his military. It went to 2 yachts and some shopping trips for his wife. So now we're going to go back to 2016, where Victoria Nuland was pretty much bragging during Congress here. She was actually being questioned by Marco Rubio, and she talked and basically bragged about the whole thing that they had going on in Ukraine. And she's the one that let the cat out of the bag about all of the bio labs that were spread throughout Ukraine. I think there's like 48 of them. And when Russia was doing their selective bombing, they were actually hitting locations that were military because they got military equipment there. But Ukraine and the Ukrainian army, especially the Azov Brigade, who are the Nazis, they were the ones that were taking and putting this stuff in civilian areas so that if it did get hit, there would be a higher chance of civilian casualties. Okay, and more recently, when Russia took out one of the trains in Vinnytsia. Okay, and I know about Vinnytsia because that's where my fiance lives. She lives there right now. I get a lot of information from her mom and friends. So I have boots on the ground and I know exactly what's going on over there. Okay, and they all know what's going on, but they can't say anything. They have to be very careful what they talk about online because of there's there's already been reporters, these reporters that have gone missing and been found dead with a bullet in their head um, for letting certain information out. But that train that got hit, the parts of the train that actually got blown up, it wasn't the passenger section of the train, had drones and other weapons for the army in them, and they were using the civilian trains to transport this stuff over to the eastern side of the country so it could be distributed out. The thing is, though, is there were people that let Russia know, hey, this is what they got, and so they had pretty good precision strikes on the trains. 13 people were injured, but nobody died. Now, when you're hearing about civilians dying, very few civilians are dying from what Russia is sending over there. Most of the people that are dying are coming from what are called FPV drones, which are too far in country. Even if they were being run on fiber optic wire, they're too far in country to be controlled from any Russians on the battlefield. Okay, so these FPV drones are hitting civilian areas, and they're either killing or seriously maiming these people. And according to my fiance and her mom, in Vinnytsia right now, the majority of stuff that's hitting there are the FPV drones. They're not the Shaheds, and they're not the any of the ballistic type missiles. So there's two main things. We know Newland, and I'm gonna kind of go up here a little bit more. Give me a second. I got to come back up. I think my computer locked up. Maybe. Am I still streaming? I can't tell. I think I am. I think stuff was frozen. All right. Anyway, I'm back. If I was out, I hope you guys are still able to hear me. Can you guys let me know in chat if you can hear me or if I was frozen? I just have a lot of windows open here that I'm trying to get through. So let me get back to my portion here. All right. So here, this is the other one on the fifth column. That was when in January 21, when January 21st of 2017, when he went in and visited the Central Intelligence Agency, and I actually watched this speech that he gave to them. And I thought it was very odd that he kept mentioning about the fifth column and talk about like this fifth column or talking about columns, referencing removing columns. Okay, so I thought that was pretty interesting. All right, now let me get back down where I was. Dun, dun, dun. Let me get back there. Okay, so we're talking about Ukraine and Russia. So this is Maiden Square, February 2014. John McCain, he who shall not be named, filming the protest besides Jeffrey Pyatt, who is the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, along with Victoria Nuland watching from behind. They were actually involved in taking down Ukraine's democratically elected president, Yanukovych. Okay, so they were actually part of the government being toppled, which led to Zelensky coming into being president. And this was around the time, too, that they were beefing up the biolabs. All right. So we're going to move on. I don't know how much time I've got left here, but not going to talk about that. Let's move up. All right. This one's good. All right. So I watched this the other day, and because I don't have a verified account on X, I can't put large posts in. So I either repost and then make a comment on what I'm reposting, or like if there's anything I don't agree with. But for the most part, I just put in my small stuff. But here, they're talking about the White House releasing names of the entities that are funding Antifa, the protests and all the violence in America. So, interestingly enough, we paid for all of this protesting with all of the money we've been paid into taxes and whatnot. Okay, that money was funneled off. The Democrats funneled it off and sent it into these NGOs, and these are all of the NGOs that they were sending it to. George Soros and the Open Society Network, Arabella Funding, the Tides Fishing Network, Neville Roy Singham. This guy is really big. Okay. Johann George Hans-Georg Weiss, he's a billionaire donor from Switzerland. And then I'm not sure what this additional foreign cash is. It might just be from other foreign entities. But then they talked about George again here. These are these big left-wing funders, and they're not citizens of the country that are putting money in to help take down our country from within. Okay, it says, and I'm going to quote them. They said, "We have identified dozens of radical organizations, not just the decentralized Antifa organizations, but dozens of radical organizations that have received more than $100 million from the Riot Inc. investors." And if any of you have been watching any of the protesting and stuff that's going on, or if you've seen any of their signs, these pre-made really nice signs that they have, if you look at really close, you'll see that Riot Inc. Are the ones that funded those and paid for the printing. Okay, so this is all coming from our taxpayer money, and this is all based off of the round table that President Trump had with some of the influencers the other day. Okay, so let's move on. I think there was some more. I'm going upwards here. All right. Now this one here will be interesting. Okay, so this actually is coming from Mossad commentary. I just happened upon it, but what I thought was interesting was, and I'm going to actually play the video so you guys can hear that, but you'll hear him say, 10 years from now, you will remember my words. But this is the same guy that I believe it was Oreo Express or one of those groups down at the border. This guy was there coming across the border, and they were like, "Who are you? Who are you? Where are you from?" And he wouldn't give them a direct answer. He just said that you're going to find out who I am soon. But after that, I think he was either on CNN, and he was interviewed on CNN, and then he also had an interview with Chris Cuomo. Okay, the guy's name is Mossab Hassan Youssef. He's a former Israeli spy, and he's also the son of a Hamas co-founder. So I'm going to go ahead and play this from the beginning so you all can hear it.
My brother, good to see you. Give it to me.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank President Trump for his efforts to secure the release of the hostages. This is the good news. On the other hand, the situation in Gaza and the future of Gaza is in the hands of a barbaric group, that they're going nowhere. If we don't evacuate civilians, Trump's original plan to relocate the Gaza entire population, there is going to be Hamas. And if it's not Hamas, there is going to be Islamic Jihad. If it's not Islamic Jihad, there is going to be a communist Palestinian fanatics with intentions to wipe Israel off the map. You know, today when they release the hostages, they are not only releasing the hostages, Israel is releasing thousands of mass murderers of the caliber of Yahya Sinwar. You know what does that mean? Yahya Sinwar is the architect of October 7. And today when Israel had no other choice under global pressure and global outrage, they had to release thousands of this type, of these criminals. Do you think the world is going to be a safer place after releasing such savages? I am not very optimistic. I'm very happy about the return of the hostages. But the situation is not going towards peace. If you don't listen to it now, 10 years from now, you will remember my words, and it's going to be much worse. So now we can convince ourselves that peace is happening, but 10 years from now, 15 years from now, the entire world is going to regret it. So it's better to wake up now and face reality before it come and slap us right on the face.
Okay, so he makes a very good point, and I might have some more of them up front, but I can find them pretty quick. Sarah Adams, I don't know if any of you know who Sarah Adams is. I don't know if she's actually still in the CIA. I kind of think that adage of once you're CIA, you're always CIA. But she's been on Sean Ryan quite a few times, and she's talked about her and another guy who's an Afghani by the name of, well, he's an Afghan American, but he still goes undercover in Afghanistan, but he goes by the name of Legend, and he works with the CIA. I don't know how active he is right now. I think he's just back in the States right now, trying to kind of stay quiet. And every once in a while, you'll see posts by him on X. But Sarah Adams is warning about all these locations that I mentioned earlier: Dearborn, Michigan, Minneapolis, St. Paul. There would be Houston, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York City, and I believe there's going to be Atlanta, Georgia is one, but I think Charlottesville in North Carolina is another one that they mentioned, and possibly even Miami, Florida, that they're talking about, where we may have an outbreak of either attempted or people that are, from the Middle East that are actually going to try to pull some 9/11 type stuff on us. Okay, and we're kind of in that time period, especially since the peace treaty was done. It might happen when President Trump leaves to go over to Israel, or it may happen on his way back. Or I think that it's between now and the 16th of this month, and some of that falls under some biblical stuff that I've been looking at. I'm just right now kind of wait and see, but I'll give you the date of the 16th of this month. Some of this stuff will happen after, but I think there's going to be some pretty big stuff that happens in this next week or so. Okay, in the next, say, 6 days. So let me move on from there. Let's see. I think every time I do that, my X kind of freezes up, so I got to switch back over here. I think I got too many things going on at once here. Maybe I can close a window here pretty soon. All right, give me a sec. Yeah, I think I'm kind of getting locked up. There we go. All right, so real quick, a quick backtrack on Venezuela. Apparently he blinked, and he's been apparently reportedly offered the United States access to all current and future projects in oil and gold and like minerals to avoid military conflict. But I don't think Trump is going to go for that. They want him out. They're going to probably get him out, and they're going to get a new regime in down there. But she's ready to go. But they're going to take this dictator out, this drug runner, and they're going to actually finish the war on drugs. Okay, Maduro is not going to be able to buy himself out of this. So now let me move up here. We already talked about that. All right. So one of the last things I want to talk about here. This is coming right directly from Pete Hegseth, and this is referring to it's going rampant. And I'm telling you, all those evil demons that are out there reposting, and they play on the words and they lie. I mean, I'm talking like blatant outright lies. All they're posting, oh, here we go. We got Qatar who favors and hides terrorists. They fund terrorists, and now they get a base, and they're saying that Qatar gets its own base. Pete Hegg says QA aircraft that Qatar bought, and they bought the planes, they're paying for the training, and they're going to pay for a building that's going to be put up to house their pilots and the place where pilots can go have their training briefings. Okay, it's all for training. This happens all over the whole United States at all kinds of different bases. We've got foreign nationals that come in and train. He says, however, to be clear, Qatar will not have their own base in the United States, nor anything like a base. We control the base like we do with all of the partners. Okay? And now I got really tired of going to all these people. I mean, here's what I was posting about how you really can't fix stupid. There is not a Qatari Air Force base being built at Mountain Home Air Force Base, Utah. There will be a training facility built. We have one already. It's already there on that base for Singapore, and we have many across the United States at U.S. military bases. So the left loves to twist their words, total fakery. So I created this little screen thing because I don't have a premium account, so it was easier just to film like a little film clip. Okay, so I can pause it and I can run it through. So the United States hosts foreign military training programs at several of its bases, but these are not independent foreign bases. They are U.S.-controlled installations where allied nations train under joint agreements. I got a list. It's not the full inclusive, but it's a list of notable bases with active foreign military training programs. So, Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas hosts the Euro-NATO Joint Jet Pilot Training Program for 14 NATO countries, including Italy, the Netherlands, and Turkey. Luke Air Force Base in Arizona trains the Dutch and other allied pilots on the F-35. Mountain Home Air Force Base, Idaho, will now be hosting Qatar, but they also have Singapore's 428th Fighter Squadron that train there. Okay? Creech Air Force Base in Nevada formerly hosted the UK's number 39 Squadron for unmanned aircraft operations. Creech Air Force Base, for any of you that don't know, that is where the majority of our drone operations that are handled around the world are mainly out of Creech Air Force Base. Okay, then we have Edwards Air Force Base, California. It hosts the 17th Test and Evaluation Squadron for F-35. That's UK. Army and Joint Training, Camp Roberts, California, used by British forces for ground training. Fort Hunter Liggett, California, another site for UK ground force training. UK presence across multiple states. The Royal Air Force is trained at bases in Nevada, California, Georgia, and South Carolina. Italy and the Netherlands at Shepherd and Luke Air Force bases. These programs are part of a bilateral or multilateral defense cooperation, and all activities remain under U.S. jurisdiction. And then it said if I would like to, it can help me map it out or dig legal into it, more into it. And I said I don't need that. I just need the base stuff. Okay, so let's see here. Got to get back over here. Get back over onto me. So I have been going now for 46 minutes. It's about right. It's under an hour. So I hope I cleared up a lot of stuff for people that had questions. But before I am going to end it, if anybody out there has any questions, I'll stand by for and see if I can answer some questions for any of you that have any questions that are out in chat. And if you're watching this afterwards, like the replay, you can go ahead and ask me questions um, in the comments section, and I will do my best to answer them as fast as I can. And for those of you that are watching, please, please, please give me a thumbs up. And if you would do so, do it here on YouTube and on Rumble, because I'm live on Rumble as well. Unfortunately, I just can't monitor the Rumble chat at the moment. Once I get my new hard drive for my laptop, I'll be able to monitor all the chats. So, any questions? Anybody? I'm going to give it, I think there's like maybe a 10 to 12 second lag time, so I'll give it a little bit of time for people to ask their questions. Yeah, I can't wait until I get my new studio up. It's some months down the road yet, but it's going to be a bigger, better studio. All right. Well, there's no questions coming in, so I want to thank everybody that hung out and watched the whole thing. Thanks. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I need to get the algorithms going here because I've got just under 3,000 subscribers, but I only get like a handful of people that watch or even get the notifications. So um, please, please do comments. Please do the thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And then for those of you that want to help me out a little bit, because I'm doing this by myself now and paying for everything out of my own pocket, I don't get anything here, and I'm living on a pauper's disabled veterans paycheck every month. But in the bottom corner of your screen, there's a QR code there. If you click on that, it will allow you to go into where you can send me a donation, whatever you feel I'm worth. And then also, if you go into the description, I have links for some of my affiliate programs that I'm with. I'm with Patriot, or is it For Patriots? And I'm also with EMP Shield. And For Patriots has some awesome, awesome stuff. I know a lot of people look at like what I think it's called Patriot Food Supply, but forpatriots.com are awesome. They got pretty much all the same stuff. But anyway, I may come back on later tonight to cover the Portland riots if it gets fired up out there. If not, then I might be back in a few days here to get everybody caught up with other things that have gone on today that I didn't get to really delve into. Most specifically, the bomb making factory in Tennessee that blew up today. So there was really not a whole lot of information about what happened yet. So maybe over the next couple of days we'll learn some more and we'll talk about that. All right. You all have a very good time. And remember, if you're out there doing some of your own research, if your research isn't leading you back to Jesus Christ in one way, shape, or form, you're researching in the wrong place. God bless everybody out there on the other side of the screen, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.